I never thought I'd wake up staring at my own face in the mirror, lips curled in a smile that wasn't mine, while the real me lay trapped in a body that reeked of cheap bourbon and regret. The wedding invitation arrived like a gut punch, my daughter Emily's big day. Planned without me, because her understanding stepmom had whispered that I'd just complicate things with my old-fashioned tears. And, in that moment, as I slipped the ring on my finger, the one that sealed the swap, I decided I'd walk down that aisle not as the broken mother, but as the venomous bride who orchestrated it all, torching their perfect little lie from the inside. It started 6 months ago, in the humid haze of a Manhattan summer, the kind where the air clings to your skin like a bad memory. I was Diana Hargrove, 47, a once sharp divorce attorney who'd traded boardrooms for PDA meetings after my ex, Richard, decided our 15-year marriage was collateral damage in his climb to the top of Vanguard Capital. He was the golden boy now, CEO of a hedge fund that devoured small businesses like appetizers at a Wall Street happy hour. Me? I was the punchline, the bitter ex who got custody of the house but not the daughter. Emily was 24, fresh out of Columbia with a marketing degree and dreams of a Hamptons wedding that screamed old money. Our bond had always been the quiet anchor in the storm of my divorce. Late-night talks over takeout Thai. Her head on my shoulder during rom-com marathons. But then Richard married Vanessa 3 years back. Vanessa Hale, 38, Pilates sculpted, with a laugh like tinkling crystal and a Rolodex of influencers that could make a Kardashian jealous. She wasn't just arm candy, she was a calculated upgrade. A former junior exec at Richard's firm who'd clawed her way up by any means, including a whispered affair that shattered our home. The betrayal cut deep, but I swallowed it for Emily's sake. Until the email from the wedding planner hit my inbox, excited to collaborate on Emily's vision. Per her note, stepmom Vanessa will handle primary decisions. Real mom might not vibe with a modern flair. Attached was a mood board of minimalist arches, drone-shot florals, and a hashtag, Hail Heirloom. I stared at it in my empty kitchen, the one Richard had filled with echoes of his golf trophies before he bolted. My hands shook as I dialed Emily. Mom. It's not like that, she said, voice thin over the line, the city noise buzzing behind her like static. Vanessa just gets it. She's been to these things. You know, couture fittings. The whole scene. You'd hate the fuss. I planned your sweet 16. Eminencia. Remember the fairy lights in the backyard? We laughed until dawn. A pause. Then that sigh, the one that said, I'd already lost. That was then. This is my future. Mom. Richard and Vanessa are footing the bill. It's their world now. I hung up, the phone slipping from my grip like a lifeline severed. That night, I drove to the outskirts of Brooklyn, to a dive bar called The Eclipse, where the neon sign flickered like a dying heartbeat. It was a place for ghosts, lawyers who'd lost their edge, brokers nursing bankruptcies. I'd heard whispers from a client years back, a backroom dealer named Silas, who peddled resets for the desperate. Not drugs, not hits. Something darker. Experimental neural tech, smuggled from a Silicon Valley lab gone rogue. Body swaps. Consciousness transfers. The kind of sci-fi bullshit that sounded like snake oil until you needed it to breathe. Silas was a wiry guy in his 50s, a face like weathered leather, eyes sharp as a switchblade. He slid into the booth across from me, nursing a flat beer. Heard you're looking to step out of your skin, Hargrove. I leaned in, voice low. Not out. In. I want to be her. Vanessa. close enough to smell the perfume she douses on my daughter's affections. He chuckled, dry as dust. Swaps ain't vacations, lady. It's a hack, neural lace, black market firmware. You sink brains for 48 hours. Tops. Ride shotgun in her ride. Feel what she feels. But it glitches. Memories bleed. And if the host figures it out, he trailed off, tapping his temple.
Boom.
Identity crisis. Or worse. How much? $20K.
Cash.
And a favor down the line. I wired it from my savings, the nest egg I'd squirreled for Emily's down payment. Desperation has a price tag in America. Mine was etched in overdraft fees. Silas handed me a sleek vial, a thumbnail-sized implant that hummed faintly in my palm. Activate at contact. Skin to skin. Deep sync. Midnight tomorrow. You and her at the planner's meet, prime window. All that emotional static. I nodded, the weight of it settling like lead. This wasn't justice, it was theft. But in a country where the rich rewrite their sins with NDAs and the poor eat the fallout, what was one more stolen moment? The next evening, I tailed Vanessa to the planner's office in Soho, a glass-box affair overlooking the Hudson, where 20-somethings in athleisure orchestrated dreams for the 1%. She arrived in a chauffeured Escalade, blonde waves cascading like a shampoo ad, Louboutins clicking like accusations. I waited in the shadows across the street, heart hammering against my ribs. Emily was inside already, chattering about centerpieces, her laughter filtering through the open window like shrapnel. As Vanessa exited the elevator, I bumped her accidentally, a jostle in the hallway, my palm pressing the vial's activator to her wrist. A jolt, electric and intimate, like plunging into ice water. Her eyes widened, then glazed. What the? But it was done. The world tilted, colors inverting, and suddenly I was falling upward. I blinked, and there she was, my reflection, but not. The mirror in the powder room showed Vanessa's face, high cheekbones, Botox-smooth forehead, staring back with my fury. I flexed my fingers, her fingers long and manicured, rings glinting like shackles. The dress hugged curves I'd mourned in my own sagging frame, silk crepe, emerald green, the color of envy. I touched her cheek, and a flood hit, snippets of her life bleeding into mine. Board meetings where she'd bedded Richard under the table. Late nights forging emails to bury a junior's complaint. And deeper, a secret coiled like smoke, the embezzlement. Not Richard's doing, but hers. She'd siphoned funds from a client trust, widows' pensions, orphans' inheritances, to fund her lifestyle. When auditors closed in, she pinned it on me. Doctored ledgers, my signature forged in digital ink. It was why Richard divorced me so cleanly. The scandal would have tanked Vanguard if it stuck to him. You bitch, I whispered to the glass, but it came out in her honeyed drawl. Power surged through me, not just the body, but the access. Her phone buzzed, texts from Emily. Can't wait for the cake tasting.
V.
Mom's being weird about it. I typed back. Thumbs flying, she's always been dramatic. We'll make it perfect.
Sweetie.
Love you. The planner's meeting blurred into a haze of chiffon and champagne flutes. I played Vanessa to perfection. Effusive. Decisive. Batting lashes at the vendors like it was foreplay. Emily beamed at me, linking arms as we toured the venue mock-up, a rooftop affair with skyline views. String lights winking like conspirators. You're a lifesaver. Vanessa. Dad says you're the only one who keeps this from exploding. If she only knew.
Inside.
I seethed, mapping the exits, the weak points. Vanessa's memories whispered escape routes, the safe in Richard's study. Combination 7-2-5, Emily's birthday. The offshore account. Password, Hale Legacy. It was all there. A roadmap to ruin. That night, back in her penthouse, our penthouse. Once, I rifled through drawers while Richard snored in the master suite.
He was softer now.
Puncher. The alpha edge dulled by martinis. I slipped into bed beside him. Her body a weapon I wielded clumsily. He stirred, pulling me close. Missed you today, he murmured, lips brushing my neck. The revulsion was visceral, a wave crashing over stolen skin. But I endured it, whispering back, tell me about the old days.
Rich. Before.
Complications. He rambled, oblivious, spilling fragments, how Vanessa had saved him from the fallout of my mistake. The embezzlement. My crime, he'd called it, even as doubt flickered in his eyes. By dawn, I'd coaxed enough bank logs, encrypted emails to start the unraveling. Day 2 dawned gray, the swap's timer ticking like a bomb. I met Silas at a coffee shop in Midtown, her Amex footing the bill for his tech support. He scanned the implant scar on her wrist, my wrist, with a handheld gizmo. 36 hours left. You're holding, but it's fraying.
Pull out now.
Or you might not snap back clean. I'm not done, I hissed, voice a perfect mimic of her Valley Girl lilt. She buried me alive. Time to dig. He shrugged. Your funeral. Or hers. The controversial calls started small. I leaked a redacted email to an old colleague at the DOJ anonymous tip. Vanessa's vanity plate traced back. Nothing damning yet. Just enough to stir the pot. Then, at the bridal shower, a catered affair in the Hamptons with mimosas and monogrammed tote bags, I cornered Emily in the powder room. Her eyes, so like mine, searched Vanessa's face. You okay? You seem
off.
I cupped her cheek, fighting the maternal ache in this foreign shell.
Ain't.
There's something I need to tell you. About your mom. Diana.
She stiffened.
What about her? She's not who you think. The divorce. It wasn't her fault. The words hung. Treasonous. Vanessa's memories supplied the lie she'd fed Emily. I'd been unstable. Jealous. The villain who drove Daddy away. I could shatter it now. But the twist gnawed. What if the truth was murkier? Flashes from the bleed. My own hand. Years back. Signing off on a shady deal to keep Richard's firm afloat. I'd known about the skim. Turned a blind eye for the family. We'd both sinned. She'd just swung the axe first. I swallowed it. Never mind.
Just.
Love you.
Kiddo.
The shower devolved into whispers, guests gossiping about Vanessa's distracted vibe, Richard shooting me puzzled glances. By evening, the first crack showed. A SEC inquiry pinged her inbox. Polite but probing. I smiled into my wineglass, the bitterness sweet. As the swap waned, tension coiled tighter. Richard confronted me in the study, scotch in hand. What's with you?
Nessa?
You're acting like her, like Diana. Paranoid. Distant. Her body betrayed me then. A tremor in the hands that once signed my ruin. Maybe I'm tired of playing house.
Rich.
Tired of cleaning up your messes. He laughed, but it died quick. What the hell does that mean? I pulled the trigger, metaphorically. Flashed the phone, forwarded emails. The offshore trail leading straight to Vanguard's slush fund. It means I'm done being your scapegoat. Like she was. His face drained, realization dawning too late. Diana? This is you?
Jesus Christ.
The door burst open. Emily, tear-streaked, clutching a printout, the DOJ leak, now viral on financial blogs. Dad? Vanessa? What's going on? Chaos erupted. Shouts. Accusations. The penthouse a coliseum of crumbling facades. Vanessa's shell, stood at the eye, directing the storm. Tell her. Richard. Tell her how you let me take the fall for your queen here. But the twist hit like whiplash. Vanessa's memories surging full force in the final hour. Not just her crimes, mine.
Too.
The real secret. I discovered the embezzlement first. Confronted her in a rage. In the scuffle, I'd pushed, she fell. Cracked her head on the desk. No blood. But the concussion that ended her fertility dreams. She'd framed me not out of greed alone, but revenge for the child she'd never have. The one I'd stolen by keeping Emily close. We'd both borne sins. I for silence. She for sabotage. The swap wasn't theft. It was mirror. As the implant fizzled, reality snapped back. I blinked into my own eyes in the hallway mirror, body heavy with familiarity. Sirens wailed below, feds closing in. Richard bellowed from the study, Emily's sobs echoing. Vanessa, now truly her, stumbled from the bedroom, disoriented, clutching her head. What did you do? I met her gaze. Two women hollowed by the same blade. What we both deserved. The climax unfolded on the wedding day. 2 weeks later, a scaled-back affair in a Central Park gazebo. Media swarming like vultures. Richard in cuffs. Vanguard imploding. Emily, Vale Askew, walked the aisle alone, her eyes finding mine in the crowd. I stood there. Diana again. Free but fractured. Vanessa lurked in the shadows. Plea deal in hand. Her empire ash. Did I win? The revenge tasted like ashes. Emily's forgiveness tentative. Our bond scarred. But as she said, I do, a ghost of a smile on her lips. I wondered, was the swap justice? Or just another betrayal? In America, where winners write the history and losers haunt the footnotes. Maybe the real twist is there's no clean end. Only the debate raging in your gut long after the credits roll.
No.
That wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. The wedding came and went like a fever dream. Emily's vows exchanged under a sky threatening rain. The kind of gray that mirrors the soul's underbelly in this city that never sleeps but always schemes. I watched from the third row, anonymous in a sea of pastel suits and forced smiles, my heart a war zone. Vanessa had slithered away on bail, her lawyers spinning the scandal as a misunderstanding, corporate espionage. They'd claim, pinning it on a rogue traitor. Richard? He posted bond too. But the feds had his number. Indictments loomed like storm clouds over the Hudson. Emily caught my eye as she recessed, bouquet trembling in her grip. The groom, nice kid. Tech bro with a startup valuation that screamed future divorce, whispered something to steady her. She broke away post-ceremony, weaving through aunts and uncles like a ghost seeking light. Mom, she breathed, pulling me into a hug that smelled of lilies and loss. You came. Wouldn't miss it. My voice cracked. The first real fracture since the swap. Up close. Her makeup couldn't hide the puffiness. The night spent scrolling through deposition leaks on TMZ. You okay, baby? She pulled back. Eyes searching mine, my real ones, creased with 47 years of fighting for scraps. I don't know. Dad. Vanessa. It's all so messed up. Were you really in her? Like, for real? The question hung, controversial as hell. In polite society, body swaps were urban legend fodder, the stuff of late-night podcasts and Silicon Valley wet dreams. But Emily had seen the footage, grainy security cam from the planners. Me and Vanessa's skin glitching mid-sentence, eyes flickering with alien rage. Silas had cleaned up loose ends, but whispers spread in the underbelly. Hargrove's playing with fire. Neural black ops. Yeah, I admitted. The word heavy as lead. I had to.
Eminência.
To show you the truth. Her lip quivered. The truth? Or just your version? Dad says you hacked their accounts. Framed them to get back at him for the divorce. Vanessa swears you assaulted her that night. Pushed her. Gave her the concussion that. She trailed off. Hand drifting to her flat belly. A subconscious tell. The twist from the swap lingered like a bad hangover. Vanessa's grief bleeding into my empathy. That fall in the office 3 years back, it hadn't been malice. Not fully. I'd cornered her after finding the ledgers. Rage blinding me. My shove was instinct, self-defense against her lies. But the crack of skull on oak desk? That echo haunted her memories. A childless void she'd filled with Emily's affections, stealing my place inch by inch. We'd both erred, me in violence, her in vengeance. The embezzlement? A joint sin? Really, Richard's directive. My sign-off to protect the family empire. Her execution to feather her nest. I didn't mean to hurt her, I said softly. The admission controversial in its half-light. Admitting fault in America means weakness. A chink for the sharks to exploit. But Emily deserved fragments of honesty. We all made mistakes. But she buried me.
Kiddo.
Framed me for her greed, so she could play house with your dad. Emily's eyes welled. And you? What did you bury? Mom? For us. The question pierced, forcing a decision I'd dodged since the swap's end. Come clean about my complicity. Risk losing her trust entirely. Or double down. Paint myself the martyr. Controversial choice number 1. Truth as a weapon, even if it backfires. I knew about the skim early on. Turned a blind eye, because Richard promised it was one time.
To save jobs.
To save us. Stupid. I know. But I never touched the money.
She did.
And when it blew up, she forged my name. She absorbed it, nodding slowly, the weight settling. I believe you. Mostly. A ghost smile. Thanks for fighting for me.
Even if it was
creepy. We parted with a promise of coffee, neutral ground. No penthouses or courtrooms. But as I slipped into the subway throng, the city's pulse sinking with my unease, I knew the revenge arc wasn't over. Vanessa's text started that night. You think you're free?
Diana?
I felt every second in your pathetic shell. Your regrets? They're mine now. And Emily's wedding gift? A DNA test proving you're not the saint you pretend. Bullshit. Or the next twist. Her moxie was legendary, cunning as a fox in a henhouse. Power plays that turned rivals to ash. During the swap, I'd glimpsed her network. Dirty cops on payroll. tabloid stringers in pocket, even a hacker collective out of Queens who could fabricate evidence like counterfeit Rolexes. If she was gunning for a counterstrike, it'd be surgical, aimed at the heart, my bond with Emily. I didn't sleep. Instead, I drove to Silas's warehouse in Red Hook, the industrial sprawl a labyrinth of rust and regret under sodium lights. He was tinkering with a neural rig, sparks flying like accusations. Back for round 2. Hargrove, thought you'd learned your lesson. Extension, I demanded, slapping cash on the workbench, borrowed from a shady client loan, the kind that accrues interest in broken knees. How do I get back in? Long term. He eyed me, pity mixing with greed. Not wise. Permanent swaps fry the synapses, Alzheimer's on steroids. But for $50K. He slid over a upgraded vial, iridescent under the fluorescence. This one's got overrides. You control the duration. But bleed's worse. You'll inherit her darkness. She'll get yours. And if she sinks back first, game over. I pocketed it. The die cast. Controversial decision, too. Dive deeper into the abyss. Risk becoming the monster to slay it. America loves its antiheroes. After all, Walter White types who justify the fall with noble eyes. But in the quiet hours, doubt gnawed. Was this protection? Or possession? The next week blurred into surveillance. I tailed Vanessa to her retreat, a spa in the Berkshires. All mud wraps and mindfulness seminars for the fallen elite. She looked diminished. Bruises from the fall faded, but spirit cracked. Richard had cut her loose. Lawyered up solo. Their alliance fracturing under indictment heat. I watched her poolside. Phone glued to ear. Barking orders to unseen allies. Snippets carried on the wind. Test the sample again. Hargrove's prints on that desk. Make it stick.
So,
The assault angle. She'd doctor evidence. Spin my shove as attempted murder. Leverage it for immunity. Emily as pawn. Testify against mom. Save the family name. My gut twisted. Time to swap again. I cornered her in the steam room, towel-clad vulnerability masking the viper within. The vial pressed to her damp skin. Activation humming like a dirge. The world inverted once more, her lithe frame enveloping me. Memories crashing, the phantom pains of lost fertility. The hollow thrill of stealing Emily's loyalty lunch by lunch. I gasped, surfacing in a haze. Her attendants mistaking my disorientation for heatstroke.
Mom?
You alright? Fine. I purred in her voice, rising like Venus from the mist. Just. Reborn. From there, the high-wire act intensified. I played Vanessa Boulder, infiltrating her inner sanctum, an encrypted drive in her cloud, brimming with kill files.
Blackmail dossier en Richard's rival.
Payoffs to regulators. Even a mole in the DA's office. The power was intoxicating, her Rolodex a skeleton key to Manhattan's underbelly. I funneled tips to the feds anonymously, her own channels betraying her. Stocks tanked, allies scattered. But the bleed deepened. Nightmares merged, my hands, hers, pushing that desk edge. Her skull cracking in echo. Guilt festered, controversial in its symmetry. Was I avenging? Or atoning? Emily called Vanessa's phone. Hey.
Stepmom.
Dad's a mess.
Can we talk about Mom?
I met her at a cafe in the village. Neutral turf with exposed brick and overpriced lattes. Emily looked wrecked, dark circles, engagement ring glinting like a handcuff. I got this letter from a lab. Vanessa's pushing for a paternity thing? Says Dad's not.
Wait. No. It's about you.
Some old accident. The trap sprung. Vanessa, in my body somewhere, had leaked the DNA angle, twisting our scuffle into proof of instability. Maybe even alleging I'd faked documents during the divorce. I leaned in, her manicured nails drumming the table.
Ink.
Listen. Your dad's clean on this. It's me, Diana, who's been pulling strings. I swapped to expose Vanessa's lies.
But
I hurt her once. Badly. And it's eating us both. Confusion furrowed her brow. Swapped again?
Mom.
This is insane. You're both crazy. Not crazy. Desperate. The admission hung. Decision 3. Hand her the drive. Let her choose sides. Controversial as pulling a pin on a grenade in a crowded room. She took the USB, eyes wide, and bolted. That night, the climax brewed. Richard summoned Vanessa to the penthouse, final reckoning. Bourbon bottles littering the marble like spent shells. He paced. Ty Askew. The once unassailable king reduced to a cornered rat. You leaked the files. Didn't you? To save your ass. After everything. I cut him off. Voice silk over steel. Everything? Like framing Diana for your dirty money? Or was it hers? I tossed the printouts, her ledgers. My forgeries intertwined. His face crumpled. The betrayal boomeranging.
You.
You're not her. The door flew open. Feds. Badges flashing. Emily in tow. She'd plugged the drive. Full confession. Vanessa's digital noose. Dad. It's over, she said. Voice steel. Mom told me everything. Both moms. Vanessa, in my shell, lurched from the shadows. Eyes wild with borrowed fury. Lies. She's the thief. The violent one. The standoff crackled. Tension thick as fog off the East River. Guns drawn. But no shots, just truths spilling like bloodless wounds. Vanessa lunged. A desperate grab for the phone. But Emily stepped between. A human shield. Stop. All of you, in that beat. The implant glitched, override failing. Consciousnesses yanking like tattered sails. I felt the pull, her darkness clawing back. One last controversial call. Release now. Let the law sort the wreckage. Or hold. Risk permanent fracture. I let go. The snapback hit like whiplash on a pothole-riddled FDR drive, jarring. Disorienting. Leaving you questioning which lane you're in. I collapsed to my knees in the penthouse foyer. My own body reclaiming its heft. The slight stoop from desk years. The ache in my left knee from a long-ago marathon folly. Vanessa tumbled opposite, gasping in her reclaimed skin. Attendants, feds, rushing to restrain her as she thrashed. Get off me. That's my life you're cuffing. Emily knelt beside me, hands hovering like she feared I'd shatter. Mom? Diana? Is it really you? I nodded. Throat raw.
Yeah. Kid.
It's me. For good this time. The arrest unfolded in staccato bursts, Miranda rights recited like a dirge. Vanessa's shrieks echoing off the Warhol prints Richard had hung to mask his mediocrity. He stood frozen, a statue of Taylor defeat, as agents zip-tied his wrists. This is a mistake, he muttered. The mantra of every white-collar felon from Enron to Epstein's Island. But the evidence, irrefutable. Dual sinned, painted us all in shades of gray. They hauled them away in separate cruisers. taillights fading into the sodium-veined night. Emily and I lingered in the wreckage. The penthouse a tomb of excess, half-packed Louis Vuitton duffels. A forgotten champagne flute sweating on the bar. She poured us scotch, Richard's 12-year. Ironic toast to closure. "What now?" she asked. Clinking glasses. Her voice held the tremor of a generation caught in parental crossfire. The American dream curdled to nightmare. "Now, we rebuild. You and me." But the words tasted hollow. The revenge's afterglow dimming to doubt. I'd torched bridges. Vanessa's empire. Richard's legacy, but at what cost? Emily's wedding. Meant to launch her into sunlit futures. Now fodder for Dateline specials. And me? The swap's bleed lingered. Phantom twinges in my womb. Echoes of her barren rage. Controversial residue. Had I not just avenged, but absorbed the villainy? The weeks blurred into legal limbo. I lawyered up, irony's sharpest cut, defending myself against accessory charges. Vanessa's team spun furious narratives. I was the aggressor, the neural hacker, the jealous ex who'd assaulted her to steal a life. Depositions dragged. Her testimony a venomous aria. Diana Hargrove cornered me, pushed me in blind fury. The concussion? It stole my chance at motherhood. And now this. Body violation? It's assault of the soul. The press devoured it, headlines screaming, ex-wife sci-fi revenge, body swap or black ops? Pundits on Fox and MSNBC debated ethics, neural privacy rights, the morality of mind theft in a gig economy soul. Protests flickered outside courthouses, tech bros chanting for innovation, feminists decrying gendered violence. I became the Rorschach test, villain to the elite, vigilante to the sidelined. Emily testified for the prosecution, neutral, factual, her poison knife twist. "I love both my parents," she said under oath, voice steady as a surgeon's. "But Vanessa manipulated me. And Mom." She crossed lines to fix it. The courtroom hushed. The judge, a grizzled Brooklynite with no patience for drama, adjourned for recess. In the hall, she gripped my arm. "I had to be honest. But I'm not choosing sides. Not anymore." That night, alone in my suburban relic, a split level in Westchester, mortgage paid with alimony grudgingly wired, I stared at the ceiling. Cracks spiderwebbing like fractured psyches. Silas called. Voice gravel over burner phone. Heard the circus. "Need an exit?"
No.
"Clean up." I wired his fee. The last of my tainted savings. "Bury the tech trail. Make it vanish."
Done.
But word of advice. Hargrove, revenge is a boomerang. Yours is coming back bloody. He wasn't wrong. The next twist slithered in via certified mail, a settlement offer from Richard's attorneys. Immunity for me, in exchange for silence on his role, and a paternity bombshell. Inside, lab reports. Emily's DNA cross-matched. Not his daughter. Mine and a lover's from a premarital indiscretion, buried in the divorce papers. Vanessa had dug it up. Her final gambit to shatter us. Controversial revelation. The hidden secret wasn't just financial rot, but foundational fraud. Richard had known. Tolerated it for the optics, the perfect family facade. I'd borne the mistake silently, letting him claim Emily as his to glue the marriage.
Now.
Exposed. It reversed everything. My betrayal in the affair paled against his years of paternal pretense. I drove to the jail. Visitors' pass clipped like a scarlet letter. Richard looked gaunt behind plexiglass. Orange jumpsuit clashing with his patrician pallor. Sign it.
D. For eminência.
She's collateral in this mess.
Why?
So, you can play victim dad from a cell? My voice echoed.
Raw.
You let Vanessa frame me for your sins. And Emily? You raised her as yours. Knowing. He leaned in, eyes hollow. Knowing she'd shatter without the lie? Yeah. We all bore weights. Diana. Yours was silence, mine. The crown. Vanessa? She just wanted in. A beat. Then, the swap. You felt it, didn't you? Her pain. My regrets. We're all monsters in the mirror. The guard tapped time. I left without signing, the papers crumpling in my fist. Decision 4. Weaponize the truth. Or bury it deeper. America thrives on scandals, Clinton's interns, Weinstein's whispers, but families fracture quiet. I chose the grenade, leaked the reports to Emily first, then the press. Headlines exploded. Hedge fund heir not his, DNA twist in swap scandal. Vanessa's trial accelerated, her immunity crumbling under perjury charges. She took a plea 15 years. White-collar wing at Alderson. Richard, 20. With restitution that'd bleed him dry.
Me?
Dropped charges, but persona non grata in legal circles. No firm would touch a neural vigilante. Emily and I met at our old Thai spot, rain lashing the windows like judgment. She slid into the booth. Older somehow. The wedding tan faded to city pallor. I read it all. The affair. Dad not being. Dad.
I'm sorry. Eminência.
I was young. Stupid. She held up a hand. Don't. It changes nothing. You're still Mom. He's still the asshole who lied. A sip of pad, CEW. Then, but the swap? That scares me. You became her to save me. What if it stuck? The question lingered. The bleed's ghost. I'd catch myself in mirrors, posing with her poise, her predatory grace. Power's addictive, even borrowed. It didn't.
But
It taught me. Revenge isn't clean. It's a mirror, showing your cracks. She nodded, tentative peace settling. So, truce? We start over? No more secrets. Truce. But as we hugged goodbye, her cab vanishing into the downpour, doubt festered. Vanessa's parting shot echoed, your regrets are mine now. Late-night searches revealed forum whispers, other swaps. Silas's clients gone rogue. What if the tech lingered? A sleeper code in my synapses? The tension peaked at Thanksgiving. Emily's invite neutral, her new apartment in Brooklyn. Just us three, me, her, and the groom. Awkward but earnest. Turkey charred. Wine flowing. We skirted the mines. No dad talk. No Vanessa venom. But midway, my phone buzzed, unknown number. A voice. Distorted. Miss me? Diana? Or should I say, sister in sin? Vanessa. From the inside. Her hack through a bribed guard. Neural echo. You think cuffs end this? Emily's mine. Always will be. Rage flared. Controversial urge to end it. Smuggle a vial. Swap one last time. Strangle the fight from her in solitary silence. But Emily's laugh cut through. Toasting to fresh starts. I deleted the message. Hand steady.
for now.
Winter clamped Manhattan in its iron grip, the kind that turns the skyline to a jagged scar against gunmetal skies. Christmas loomed. Commercial cheer masking the rot beneath. Black Friday brawls on Fifth. Santa's hawking salvation to the damned. Emily's life stabilized, promotion at her agency. Therapy sessions billed to Richard's dwindling accounts.
Me?
I clawed back normalcy. Adjunct teaching at a community college. Family Law 101. Irony's gift. Students eyed me warily. The prof with the tabloid shadow. But a few lingered after class, hungry for the unvarnished. How do you prove betrayal in court when it's emotional? You don't, I'd say. Chalk dust on my sleeves. You live it. And hope the jury's human. But normalcy was facade. A thin veneer over the UM's undercurrent. Silas vanished. Warehouse gutted. Whispers of a raid tying him to DARPA leaks. Good riddance. Or loose end. Vanessa's appeals dragged. Her letters smuggled via inmates. Poetic bile. Accusing me of soul rape. Promising karmic recoil. Richard? He wrote too. Contrite holograms from prison. Forgive the lie.
D.
For Emily's sake. I burned them. Ashes swirling in my fireplace like confetti from a funeral. The final twist brewed in spring. Cherry blossoms mocking the decay as Emily announced. Pregnant. 8 weeks. Heartbeat strong on the ultrasound app, she shoved at me over brunch in Dumbo. Your grandbaby?
Mom.
First ultra, wanna see. The grainy blob pulsed. A miracle amid the muck. Joy surged. Pure and untainted, but laced with dread. Vanessa's voice echoed. Emily's mine. Had the bleed tainted this? No, paranoia. The swapped scar tissue. We planned a baby shower. Low-key, park picnic.
No influencers.
But invites out. Replies trickled. Old friends ghosting. Richard sighed venomous. Then, a package, unmarked, delivered to my door. Inside, a vial, empty but humming faintly, and a note in Vanessa script. One more dance? Or let the child pay. The threat crystallized her network. Unsevered. She'd bribed a guard for the tech remnant, plotted a final swap to possess the heir, rewrite the lineage in Neuralink. Controversial apex. Confront her, risk escalation, or vanish the evidence. Let the sins fade?
E chose confrontation.
Drove to Alderson under a relentless drizzle. Visitor protocols a gauntlet of metal detectors and soul-sucking weights. Vanessa emerged in khakis and institutional gray. Hair cropped practical, but eyes alight with feral cunning. Plexiglass separated us. Mike's hissing static. You came, she said, lips curving. Missed me? Missed ending this. I slid the vial across, no activation. Just symbol. Your play. But Emily's carrying my blood. Our mess. But her future. She laughed. Brittle. Our mess? You pushed me. Diana. Stole my shot at this. Her hand pressed belly flat. Mimicry cruel. The swap? I felt your guilt. Your lover's secret. Richard's farce. We're twins in the trap, betrayed by the same man. Burying each other. The reversal hit. Not foes, but reflections. Deep betrayal mutual. Richard's empire, our shared chain. The crime? Jointly born. My silence her scaffold. Power? Hers in seduction. Mine in endurance. The swap hadn't swapped bodies, it had merged monsters. Then why the poison? I pressed. The threats. Survival. She leaned close, breath fogging the glass. In here, it's eat or be eaten.
But
Emily. She's the one pure thing. Let me write to her. No games.
Just.
Anti-advice. Controversial concession. Extend the olive branch from barbed wire or slam the door. Seal the cage? One letter. Neutral. And the tech? Destroyed.
Deal.
Her smile. Genuine flicker. Truce. Sister? I left as rain eased to mist. The drive back a meditation on debatable ends. Happy? Emily's joy swelled her glow. The baby a bridge over our chasm. Tragic? Scars lingered. Richard's letters unanswered. My trust fractured like safety glass. But in the gray American expanse, where revenge simmers eternal and forgiveness is the true controversy, perhaps the win was survival. No clean arcs. Just the tense march forward, debating the cost with every step. Emily's water broke on a sweltering July dawn, traffic snarling the bridge to Mount Sinai. I held her hand through contractions, her grip vice-tight, curses flying like 4th of July sparks. This hurts more than Dad's lies, she gasped. And we laughed, raw and real. The cry pierced the sterile air. Girl, 7 pounds, named Lila after my mother. Emily cradled her, exhausted triumph. Your turn, Grandma. I touched the tiny fist. Wonder washing you, am clean.
Outside.
Richard waited, paroled early for good behavior. Gaunt, but grinning through the window. Vanessa? Her letter arrived weeks later. Advice on colic. And signed but warm.
No swap. No estin.
As Lila cooed, I pondered the hook's echo, waking in another skin, torching the lie. Worth it? The debate rages. Justice or madness? In this land of reinvention, where bodies and truths swap like stocks, maybe the real revenge is living beyond the burn.